Hey guys, another sci-fi guy here, and today we're going to be reviewing Babylon 5 Season 1 Episode 1 on DVD because they've never put Babylon 5 out on Blu-ray. We've already reviewed the pilot. If you haven't seen that, you can click up here in the corner and watch my review for the pilot movie that launched the show. It's a good episode. It really jumps kind of right into things. The teaser scene that opens the episode is basically a sneak attack on the Centauri by an alien force, and it just kind of goes from there. There's a lot going on in this episode. It's much like the pilot. It's doing a lot of world building. We're introduced to new characters. The new second in command of the station, Commander Ivanova, who, as she'll tell you many times in the course of the series, is Russian. And we find out she's kind of a no-nonsense, tough as nails type. At one point, she actually tells it's Talia. She tells Talia, "I've got 15 things to do right now, all of them annoying," which is her way of saying I can't talk right now. So Ivanova's a lot of fun. I think Claudia does a fine job acting with her. Not super great, but she's good, and I like her as a character. We also meet the new telepath on the station, Talia, who replaces Lita from the pilot. And I won't lie, I prefer Lita, but it's probably just because I find Patricia Tallman more attractive. But Talia as a character is okay. She seems nice here in the first episode. And let's see. We haven't met the new doctor yet. Let's see. Richard Biggs isn't there yet. We really get to see some standout moments from other characters. Jakar and Sinclair have a nice confrontation at one point, where we really get to see that Sinclair doesn't take crap from people, and he states his opinion and flat out basically tells Jakar to bring it. It's really nice. And Jakar we see here more as a warrior. You can tell he's a fighter. He's not one to back down from a fight. He's very frustrated at what his people suffered at the hands of the Centauri during the Centauri's occupation of their homeworld, which lasted like 100 years. Londo, Andreas Katsoulis as Jakar does a great job. He's a very charismatic actor, and it's hard for me to imagine anyone else ever playing this role if they ever remade the show. He does a great job here. And then Peter Jurassic also does a good job as Londo, because Londo has a nephew on the colony that's getting attacked, and you can see he really runs a huge range of emotions in this episode, from anger to sad to stressed to frustrated. It's all in there at different points in the episode. You can tell he's worried about his nephew. You can tell his family means a lot to him. His people mean a lot to him. You can tell that he takes a lot of pride in being Centauri, and that he's frustrated that his people aren't what they once were, what they were like 100 years ago when they pretty much ruled most of the known galaxy. You get the impression, or at least a much larger chunk of it than they do now. He kind of misses the glory days, and that comes across really, really well. Another thing about the episodes, there are a lot of things happening at once. You have the attack on the Centauri. You have the interaction with Talia and Ivanova. And then you have another small interaction with Garibaldi and Talia. And there's humor in it, like when Garibaldi's inviting Talia to come back to his place so he can show her his favorite thing in the universe. Okay, his second favorite thing in the universe. And the ending, when he has Delenn over, is very amusing. You can see Sinclair's frustration with the Earth government because they're not doing what he thinks they should do. And you can tell that's frustrating him. And then we have some nice foreshadowing. I love how they salt and pepper foreshadowing in the series. Since Straczynski, I can never say his name, since he kind of had a plan in place for the series when he first started doing it, he kind of knew its beginning, middle, and end, and what all was supposed to happen. He was able to salt and pepper these little foreshadowing bits. We see the election running for the Earth president, Santiago, and against the lady who's challenging him, and that's brought up 2 or 3 times, and that's some great foreshadowing for stuff later. You can hear Ivanova talking about how she doesn't like Santiago because she thinks a leader should have a strong chin and he has no chin, whereas his vice president has too many, and that's a bad combination. And that's really well done. It's one of those things, the second time you watch the series through, you're going, ah. And then, of course, there's a whole nother plot with raiders that are attacking. They're trying to figure out, one, how the raiders know where to attack. Once they get that figured out, stopping the raiders. And then tying that raiders subplot back into the main plot really well. Nobody writes like Straczynski. I mean, seriously, the MCU has nothing on this guy. And it has nothing on Babylon 5 when it comes to storytelling. I don't say that lightly. But it's another really good episode. The weak point is the special effects. I mentioned this in my review for the pilot, that Babylon 5 was the first sci-fi show to do all of their space special effects by CGI. Even like Star Trek and stuff like that were still using models at the time. But all of the Babylon 5 effects are done in CGI. And for 1994, when this episode aired, they looked phenomenal. It was groundbreaking. But they do look dated. And because of the fact that when they originally rendered them, they did them in the 4:3 aspect ratio, but they sent the originals to Warner Brothers. That way Warner Brothers would have them, because they were trying to future-proof the series, but Warner Brothers, in their infinite wisdom, lost the originals. And so all they have is the 4:3 aspect ratio, which was standard definition at the time. And naturally, being a show from 1994, it's shot in standard definition. So when they were converting them to Blu-ray, they had to crop part of it out, and the resolution is not as good. When they were doing them for DVD, not Blu-ray. And so all of the spaceship shots and the composite shots with live action in CGI, was done in the 4:3 aspect ratio, and they had to crop part of that out. And it doesn't look as good as it did in the initial broadcast. It's not something I noticed a lot in the pilot. I'd swear the CGI in the pilot looks a lot better. The CGI in this first episode is a little, kind of like a kid watching Transformers Beast Wars or Reboot now might go, It gets better. I mean, this first episode is really the worst it ever gets. And it doesn't break the episode by far, but it's enough that you'd notice it and you realize it's a show from the 90s. But the story carries it. There's so much going on here. There's very seldom is there ever anything boring in Babylon 5. There's always a lot of stuff going on. One of the things I love about it, and it's very character-driven. The most character-driven sci-fi series I've ever seen. So I liked it. It was really nice. I'm looking forward into jumping into Season 2. If you haven't watched Babylon 5, watch Babylon 5. The first season is really a lot of foreshadowing. It's got its own standalone episodes, but it doesn't really hit the rising action until Season 2. But right now we're in Season 1. We're going to continue with Season 1. And this first episode of the series is really good. It gets a lot going. It does some world building. You get to see a lot of action. You get to find out kind of which sides don't like each other, which sides have alliances. It does a lot of that. Anyway, tell me what you thought of the review. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. If there's something you think I could do better, let me know in the comments below. I love constructive criticism. I was a theater major in college, so I'm used to it. Also, click the subscribe button. I'm always looking for more subscribers. And if you're interested, check out my other channel, Prowl1701, PROWL1701, where I review Star Wars lightsaber replicas, high-end ones. And most importantly, thank you for watching.